Greetings, everybody listening to the We Are Gamers podcast. Yes, this is Lawrence doing the intro again, as Justin couldn't be with us today. Wishing him well on whatever is happening on his end, but for right now, it's a three-person squad today, as with me, I have Rydent.
Hey guys.
And, of course, the lovely Team Benevolence is with us.
Hi.
And we're coming off of the heels of some announcements that have been coming out of Famitsu, and especially coming out of the Japan Expo, and probably the most exciting of which for one of our podcasters on our staff here is the announcements in regards to Sengoku Basara 4. So, Michelle, I know you've been following it more than probably either of us have, so if you could go into more detail in regards to the Sengoku Basara 4 information that came out.
Yeah, no problem. It's, well, we've had the first sort of batch of character announcements made. Obviously, first off, Masamune Dati is back. Who's surprised by that? Mitsunari has... Oh! Mitsunari's been confirmed to be back. Again, not a big surprise. We've got 3 new characters being announced. First off is Sakon Shima. If you haven't seen a picture of him, it's actually funny. He looks a bit like Matt Ungard from Ace Attorney. Sort of meets Yukimura. Is a bit bizarre. He's totally different from how he looks in Samurai Warriors. Then we also have Katsui Shibata, who, yeah, I think he was like a retainer for the Oda clan, and he was married to, he was Oichi's second husband, I believe.
Yes.
And then the last new character is an NPC. Basically, he is the Shogun Yoshitsuru Ashikaga. Yeah, I probably mispronounced that, but basically, what they're doing for Basara 4 is basically a reboot sort of thing, where it's like basically they're taking it back to the start of the Sengoku era, and apparently it is going to be more sort of historically accurate, though of course Basara. You know, you can't really say much about it. They're also doing new features where it's like enemy peons will have different sort of moves based on what sort of style they have. For example, spear and shield wielding peons will move in like a fortress tortoise-like formation, where it's like they basically kind of look like human pyramid.
Yeah. Seems like an interesting setup to give the peons. Give them more of a defensive-oriented base.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it's going to be an interesting game. Certainly different, maybe a bit different from the past ones, which is good.
Does it look at all different?
From the screenshots, not really. But, you know...
Is it kind of announced for this current gen, or is it the next gen?
It's it's PS3 coming out early next year, I believe.
Okay.
All right. You think maybe they did this route of taking it back because of I believe it was Sengoku Basara 3 going as far as the Battle of Sekigahara, and maybe and since that's considered like the big battle, they had to take it back because they really had nowhere else to go from here. So they did the reboot to trigger it, and then bring it all back. And then now, since like you mentioned, Mitsunari Ishida was confirmed, maybe we'll actually get to play as him under Hideyoshi rather than the Sengoku Basara 3 era Mitsunari, who was just Ieyasu obsessed because of Hideyoshi's passing.
Yeah, it's like pretty much it's been confirmed that Mitsunari's story is basically him working under Hideyoshi. Masamune is apparently his path to unifying Japan, so it's basically business as usual for him.
I wonder if Nobunaga is actually gonna pop its head in again. I mean, if they're taking it back to kind of like a reboot, I would imagine Nobunaga would pop in not as a mere like guest character like he was in Sengoku Basara 3 or more mystical elements of Sengoku Basara, but now actually a more, you could say, humanized run through of Nobunaga. Or unless the previous games have already covered that, I've not played any Sengoku Basara before Sengoku Basara 3 in the US, so.
Well, it's like Nobunaga wasn't in the second game because obviously that was sort of about Hideyoshi and sort of Keiji and sort of introducing them. Um, I imagine with Shibata being in the game that they probably would have Nobunaga, but he probably wouldn't be as sort of powerful as he was in the third game. That's for sure.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think like third game was like, I think that's considered his peak in terms of how utterly powerful Nobunaga is portrayed. Because I've seen in I think it was the first game, Nobunaga, while he was strong, he wasn't as overwhelming as Part 3. And then in Part 3, he's just outright demonic with his strength. So it's, I'm interested to see where they would go with this. I can't say I'm holding my breath for Sengoku Basara 4 coming to the United States.
Well, we all know how much Capcom loves Basara in the West.
Yeah. But before that opens up old wounds, I have a feeling that a certain somebody is going to be importing it.
Yeah, totally. It's not even a surprise anymore, is it? It's just,
She's
Michelle's
gonna do it.
importing it again.
Did you get your door handle things?
Yes, I did.
Wow, we brought it all back to the door handles, folks.
Yeah. Yeah, look back at maybe like 5 episodes or something.
Look back at around episode 6 or so. Like somewhere in the early episode numbers.
We were talking about how angry Michelle was about the fact that this new merchandise was only door hangers.
Yep. For those who weren't aware, Capcom had teased that they had some new Sengoku Basara merchandise, and that merchandise just happened to be just door hangers. So it's been kind of a thing.
But now I've got my door handles. Now I'm getting the game as well. So I can't complain. Maybe Capcom actually listened to that and thought, oh well, might as well announce it.
They're secretly fulfilling your dream of making your entire room Sengoku Basara.
Yeah.
See, Capcom listens.
So I wonder if this means another trip to the old customs. Because you enjoy going there as well with all the imports that you're making.
Oh, totally. Well, if I'm very lucky, it might get released when I'm in Japan.
Okay.
That might be. I won't be able to play it, but I'd have it.
Yeah. So when are you going out to Japan?
It's not till the end of March next year.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, so let's see. Are you going to Japan like for the same reasons as last time, or is it just going to be, something else that you're going to Japan for?
I've always wanted to go there, and now I actually have the money to be able to afford to go there. So, why not?
Okay, because I remember you mentioned a Japanese trip before, or is this the same trip?
Yeah, this is the same trip. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is it was that far in advance. This trip was planned out.
Yeah, it's because there's the drama of sort of my card was declined by when I was trying to book it and having to pay it through PayPal and all this sort of. It's never straightforward, ever.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
First world problems and all that.
Yeah.
What is this? I can't leave my country? Well, hopefully your Japanese trip turns out well for you, Michelle.
I can only imagine her luggage back. She'll find all the games that she's been meaning to get, and she'll just ditch all her clothes and just have this suitcase full of games and merchandise and everything else. I don't know how many Liu Bei she's going to bring back.
Oh, you totally know. I'm just gonna take like an empty suitcase and I'll just take it, and I'm like, I don't need clothes, I don't need anything else, I just need merchandise without customs tax. That's all I need.
Because the thing is, you're in the heart of it, aren't you? So and you know you got all the stuff on the shelves, whether it's official or not, and you just got your pick to just browse and buy as you will, so long as your card accepts it.
Then you have to go to PayPal again. The sad thing is, I can picture Michelle just having one briefcase full of nothing but Liu Bei figurines. And of various versions of Liu Bei, too.
Oh, totally.
She'll get the big plushie.
Oh, man. Okay.
It's like we're gonna be staying like in Osaka for the most part, and there's a Tales of shop there. So yeah.
Oh, dear.
They won't have anything left by the time I'm done.
Tales of my wallet.
Tales of my empty wallet.
See,
It's an adventure, I tell you.
see, Michelle's gonna walk into Japan looking normal, and then when she boards the plane back, they're not gonna recognize her because she's gonna look like Sophie from Tales of Graces.
She's going to blind everyone with how much her eyes are going to be beaming.
She's gonna walk in, have black hair, maybe just walk in, look normal. Next thing you see, it's gonna be purple hair tied into two ponytails.
She's going to go Super Saiyan.
She's gonna find all the proper cosplay equipment for Sophie, and she will wear it back.
Her excitement levels will go over 9,000.
Oh, right, and an over 9,000 joke. Oh man. Well, hopefully the Japanese trip turns out well for you, Michelle.
Yeah.
And it will be to our amusement that you somehow do come back as Sophie from Tales of Graces. Oh man. Speaking of things you might find in Japan, recently it was announced that Musou Orochi 2, or what is known as Warriors Orochi 3 here, is receiving an expansion in Japan, or a re-release in Japan. It already saw a re-release as Musou Orochi 2 Hyper, or Warriors Orochi 3 Hyper, for the Wii U, and now it is seeing another release as Musou Orochi 2 Ultimate in Japan. Because it is currently only a Japanese release, we're going to try to refer to it as just Musou Orochi 2 Ultimate in order to avoid confusion. But as it stands now, Musou Orochi 2 Ultimate looks like it is adding everyone back from the Hyper version, as well as adding in, I believe, 4 new characters were confirmed, right?
Yep. There were 4 new ones. Trying to think, because they had Kasumi and Sushu, who were added into the game. They released the screenshots of those 2 plus their models in the recent, was it the Famitsu magazine or Denkai or something?
I believe it was Famitsu.
So they've been outed. And they're actually on the official Musou Orochi 2 Ultimate website as well.
Okay.
There's apparently new I haven't got around to translating the full thing or reading a translated document for all the new features, but there's a decent page worth of new features in the game. I'm sure. I believe it's Musou Orochi 2 Hyper with extra stuff layered on top of that. So
okay. From what I've been reading, they added a new type of, I believe, attack called the Triple Rush, which has
yes, I did see that.
Yeah, and it's apparently some sort of attack which involves using all of your characters all at once. And at first I thought it was similar to the triple attack that was previously in the game already, but the picture I've seen, and I'm not sure if this is of the Triple Rush or not, but a picture I've seen is you see the characters grouped together with like the you can see like the tether for like the Muso connecting them all.
Yeah, it looks like a triple combo Musu attack. You know, like you have the cooperative ones, don't you? In the some of the other games when you're doing 2-player cooperative. This time it looks like you've actually got a similar kind of thing, but with 3 characters. And I guess the other 2 characters are NPC.
Which other the other 2 characters?
Yeah, that you do this with, yeah.
I am not sure if they're NPCs.
Or is there an option to have more than one cooperative partner?
That would be cool if they did it that way. That would be nice if they did it that way, but I don't see them pushing it that far. It would be nice, but I don't see that unfortunately being a thing that they will try, especially since they haven't even done it in the main games. In Warriors of Orochi, with 3 people per player, you know, it would kind of get crazy having more than, you know.
Yeah.
But alongside Shushu and Kasumi being confirmed for Warriors of Orochi 2, Muso Orochi 2 Ultimate, you also have, I believe one of them is the counterpart to Shenlong as Yinglong, and I believe he's supposed to be the yellow dragon of Chinese mythology. And alongside him, they introduced another new character by the name of, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Talamon no Mai, who is supposed to be, in Japanese mythology, said to be the most beautiful and intelligent woman in all of Japan. So, right now it seems like they're delving more into the mythological front as well, to kind of play into the Warriors of Orochi mystics as they exist in the roster.
And for those characters, they haven't actually released any models. They've only released the artwork for them.
Right. Which I think it's kind of interesting, but it's kind of cool when they did it that way. It makes them look more, I don't want to say mystical at the risk of sounding... but
mystical mystics, yeah.
Yeah, but they pop more for it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They kind of show more. And as a result of also those characters being announced, in Muso Orochi 2 Ultimate, the characters who were in the previous Hyper edition will also be added. So there's Rachel from Ninja Gaiden, Momiji from Ninja Gaiden, Shenlong, and Seme no Abe. So already that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters to Muso Orochi 2 Ultimate that were not previously in the PS3 version. And Muso Orochi 2 Ultimate, I believe, is coming out for PS3 and PlayStation Vita in Japan.
Yep.
No news on a North American or European release date, but one can only hope.
I know Chin put out a public tweet because someone brought it up, and he said, and he retweeted that and said, "Do you want this?" I guess they have to try and persuade. Europe has to try and persuade Japan that it's something that we want. So they obviously need numbers. If people were actually interested and would actually buy this, it would be a bit like with the Dead or Alive game. With it'd be a re-release. You'd have to buy the full disc version. So if you've already got just keep saying Muso Orochi now, Warriors of Orochi 3, it's not going to be compatible with Ultimate. You're going to have to buy Ultimate again, not a DLC. It's going to be the Ultimate package.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll probably only be able to play because I'm sure they'll add new stages and new because of the new modes and everything else. You won't be able to play cooperatively with the vanilla game people. So people, they're kind of, if they're going to release it over here, they really have to have the numbers to counter whether or not it's worthwhile doing. So
right.
But if people are interested, then obviously show your support.
Mm-hmm. One of my biggest worries with this release is how outdated it could possibly be. It would be a nice release if we got it here in America, and in Europe, but considering that Muso Orochi 2 is already very outdated in Japan, when you take into effect that not only in Muso Orochi 2 did characters, I believe only up to Shu Huang got decloned. So Dongjua, Yue Ying, and Shu Huang, and Panda, all got their appropriate weapons. Everyone else who didn't get their appropriate weapons got their movesets changed. But in Muso Orochi 2, that at the time that was all that they could do at that point. The DLC hadn't finished releasing in Dynasty Warrior 7, and then things took their course. In Dynasty Warrior 7 Empires, the characters would all get eventually kind of decloned. So Michelle would get the lightning sword, Zhurong would get the boomerang, went down the line, and in Dynasty Warriors 8, that's been released in Japan for some time, there are no clones. Everyone has their own weapon.
Yep.
It's 81 different weapons. But now they're releasing this Muso Orochi 2 Ultimate version after Dynasty Warriors 8, which decloned everybody and gave everybody their own weapon set. I just don't know if it's going to feel outdated making another version. Although, granted, you could argue that the new characters alone would make it worth it.
Another thing which would make it feel kind of outdated is the generation that it's going to be released in, because obviously we get next generation coming here now. Although it'll probably be at least 1 to 2 years before the current generation starts to fade out properly. Not fully, but people start to then probably buying into the next generation. But if I think Mr. Orochi Ultimate has, I can't remember what date it was actually going to be released. I think it's this year.
I believe it's supposed to be a fall release. I want to say it's supposed to be a fall release, Muso Orochi 2 Ultimate. Right now I'm trying to dig for it, but I personally don't see the console thing being so much of an outdated
issue.
Yeah, because the PS3 is still being supported for at least a few years while the PS4 is out. The closest thing that would be outdated would be the Vita version, but it gives people who wanted to take the game on the road with them the opportunity to do just that.
To be honest with you, the PS Vita version would likely stay around longer due to the fact that the PS Vita was designed for the PlayStation 4.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I mean, like the PS Vita, PSP over here, that's pretty much for the European and American markets. That's pretty much a dead console. That you can't really buy any new release UMDs or anything like that. Whereas in Japan, they still kind of support it. They're just fading out supporting it now.
Mm-hmm. The Vita's been up and down with its support. I've noticed it gets its support in waves and then it stops, and then it gets it in waves and then it stops. And hopefully with the PS4, it'll pick up again. But I do agree, now that you mentioned it, that since the Vita is built for the PS4, the Vita version of Muso Orochi 2 Ultimate would probably see a longer lifespan as a result of it. It's just something I hadn't considered, because the game is, when you look at it, it's clearly built for the console version, in regards to style and everything. But the Vita itself is a powerhouse in terms of what it can handle, so I guess it's up to, Koei on how it handles the transfer from the PS3 to the PlayStation Vita.
I have a date now, 26th of September this year.
Oh, okay, it is a September release.
Yep.
Okay.
Which
yeah, but they had Musou Orochi 2 special for the PSP, so if the PSP can handle the game, you know.
Yes.
Oh, right, that's true. I actually forgot the PSP version of the game.
Yeah, and Tokiden also got a PSP version of the game.
Oh, yeah, but you see the PSP and the Vita comparison.
Yeah, but they still supported it.
That's true. But I think that's also because the markets are so different. The PSP isn't nearly. The PSP pretty much died in the United States right now.
It's pretty much died. It's pretty much died here. I mean, I play mine, but I mostly play my old games. Right now, I'm playing mostly like old Final Fantasy titles on there, right, which are downloaded off PSN.
I still play mine as well. I have Crisis Core to run through. I still routinely pick up Mega Man Maverick Hunter X to just goof around with that a little bit. I still play Dissidia Duodecim every now and then, so I still get life out of my PSP. It's just that the games and the game developers just they didn't support the PSP so much over here, and it's kind of the same thing the Vita's going through, but we'll see how the Vita's been handling it. Right. So with that out the way, I guess we could go into the big event that's been happening over in France, I believe, in Paris, France, which is the Japan.
Started today.
Right, today being the Japan Expo.
Yep, today through till Sunday.
Okay, so it's a full weekend event.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So this is going to be the first wave of news that came from the Japan Expo that we could talk about, and anything else from this point forward would probably be either posted up on our Tumblr, or Facebook, or Twitter pages, or it'll just flat out be on various other news sources to snatch up. But probably one of the, I don't want to say most anticipated, but probably one of the bigger announcements to come out of day one, and from my personal view, is the announcement that Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 3 will be getting a DLC enhancement, will be getting full add-on support, and will be getting a new character and a new story chapter. And this DLC add-on is going to be known as Full Burst, and due out in the winter of 2013. It's going to include the new chapter for the story mode, which would involve I guess we should give a Naruto spoiler warning by this point, shouldn't we?
I think the game's been out pretty long enough. If there's anyone that's really a hardcore fan, they probably would have played through Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm now.
No, but the DLC covers stuff that wasn't in the original game. That's what I mean. I think we should give a Naruto spoiler warning now, I guess.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who haven't been reading the current manga for Naruto, we're about to discuss certain events that are currently ongoing in the manga, or the manga has recently passed them. If you do not wish to be spoiled as you do not follow the manga, then you may skip ahead in about 5 to 10 minutes at best, and continue on from there. But for everyone else who's sticking around, here are some of the details for Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 3 Full Burst. The new chapter of the story mode will cover Kabuto Yakushi fighting Sasuke Uchiha and Itachi Uchiha after Itachi's been resurrected from Edo Tensei, and is going on his own after the Koto Matsukami from his own crow backfires and hits him instead of the intended target, which was meant to be Sasuke should Naruto and Sasuke ever encounter each other again. Because of this, Itachi is able to roam around freely, and his first target is going after Kabuto to end the Edo Tensei that are afflicting the battlefield on the war front. While Itachi is going on this route, Sasuke runs into him, and Sasuke follows Itachi to Kabuto's hideout. And it is there that Kabuto engages with the Uchiha brothers and reveals that he has mastered the powers of the Sage. So at this point, the chapter will cover, from all that's been confirmed, is the chapter will feature a boss fight of Edo Tensei Itachi and Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan Sasuke versus Sage Mode Kabuto. as well as Sage Mode Kabuto being a fully playable character within the game, with, I believe, his normal form using more of his regular techniques, and from the trailer, his awakening will deal with what he uses in the fight itself, which would involve him revealing that he injected DNA of the Sound 5 within himself, and he is able to replicate all of their jutsu at will. So it looks like his awakening form will focus on that, while his regular base form will focus on his regular techniques and more of his own snake-like properties, and even his own you could say his own tactics and his own you could say more intelligent movements in regards to his fighting style in the manga transferred over to the game itself. And along with this, Full Burst is including 100 new missions, and will also feature updated graphics for the cinematics in the game itself. So, for those of you who may have looked at Storm 3 and wondered, could they smooth these graphics out a little bit, or could they upgrade them? Well, in Full Burst, they have opted to update some of the cutscenes and even change some of the environments to be more accurate toward what's going on in the series itself. Another bonus is, for those of you who do not have the original Storm 3, Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 3 Full Burst will be available as its own disc-based release. And if you opt to buy the disc-based version of Full Burst, it will come preloaded with all of the DLC costumes that have been released. So, for those of you who own the original Ultimate Ninja Storm 3, you can simply wait for the DLC pack called the Full Burst Pack and download that to your game itself, and you'll get all the content except for the costumes. For those of you who do not have Storm 3, or you simply want to rebuy the game for whatever purpose it may be, when you rebuy the game itself, you'll be able to purchase a Full Burst disc, which will be the original game, plus the Full Burst content, and all of the DLC costumes. So this seems to be CyberConnect 2's way of celebrating the success of Storm 3, adding a new character and adding a new story mission that was previously untold in the Storm 3 game, even though the timeline of the game would have covered the event. It just seemed outright glossed over. So, good news for Naruto fans on that front, considering that Sage Mode Kabuto seemed to be one of the several characters that most people wanted because of the fact that his fight was glossed over rather than gone into in detail. So now we actually get a new chapter in the story mode, and along with it 100 new missions and all this extra content so far. Nothing confirmed on whether or not there'll be more characters, but it would be nice if they added I guess the elephant in the room, get that out the way. The Edokage would be nice, but to me, I'm already sold. I'm already sold on just Sage Mode Kabuto. Call me cheap, call me easily bought, but I didn't expect a single character from CyberConnect 2. They never released DLC characters. Yet, here I'm staring at a DLC character. I already got more than what I expected. So, the release period is winter of 2013. So, right around there, we should get more details as we approach the winter, and it should be a pretty cool expansion to the game itself. I mean, what do you guys expect, or what do you guys want to see out of it?
Now, for me, I mean, I've not really played the Naruto games. I was tempted to buy Ultimate Ninja Storm 3, but I never got around to doing it. So I guess if I do, I may as well wait for this to come out and then and take it from there, as opposed to buying the game and then the DLC later. But I'm not. Because I don't tend to read the manga, and I haven't really followed the series so much. I've seen the episodes here and there, but I've never really followed it. It'd be interesting for me to kind of experience what a little bit more as to what it's like, and I enjoy audio and visual and playing more than I do reading, so. I think this would be a good way to maybe get into and get to know some of the characters and stuff.
Okay. So basically, if you bought the Storm 3 now you'd be waiting for the full burst version.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, and then that would be your way of getting into the Storm games.
But I mean, I've heard a lot of good stuff about this version of Storm. There's apparently a lot more improvements and stuff over previous games. So I mean, even though it's part of the way through this, through a storyline, I'm sure it's good enough to just it's at a good enough point to just jump in.
Okay. Yeah, now that they announced Full Burst, you may as well just hold out a few more months, get that version, get all the costumes, get the new missions, get the added fight in the story mode, and just enjoy it from there.
Plus also the stupid extensive list of pile of shame games to play through as well.
Yes, that's it. You don't want to add to that.
Yeah.
Michelle, any particular thing you're expecting or you want out of Storm 3's DLC?
Well, I've still been meaning to actually buy Storm 3, so I've been sort of...
So it's just you, Lawrence.
So I'm the only one who is sitting here with Storm 3 looking at this going, this is good DLC. You are looking at it as, this is a good time to get the game.
Yes.
Well, I'm sitting here going, this is a good DLC pack.
I mean, I wonder... But it's like, Zavi still have copies of the special edition True Despair version of the game, so I'm wondering if I should just get that and then just get the DLC pack when it's released instead.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that would be tempting. All things considered, that would be a nice little collector's bundle to have. Now that just comes down to personal choice. If you want to get the collector's edition and then get the DLC pack, or if you'd rather wait it out and then get the full burst, but it'll also give you all the costumes in the game as well.
I wonder what they'll charge for the DLC.
Unfortunately, they have no pricing announced for it. I would think it would depend on how much they're giving. I don't know if it'll be just one character or they're going to add several. I don't know if it's just going to be one story mission or they're going to add several. The wording in the press release seems to hint at one, but I don't know if that's for now or if that's going to be, their permanent stance, just one new character. So
because right now with things like the next gen coming around the corner and stuff like that, which I'm buying into the next gen on release. It's kind of when you're weighing up and you're looking as to whether it would be more cost effective to buy the game as it is now and buy the DLC, or will the game be released as this full burst version at a budget price, which you will end up just saving using that method anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. The DLC, I forgot the exact cost of all the DLC costumes. I want to say the DLC costumes as a whole, all of them together, go upwards of $20. Because I remember there were several just hat packs that were like $1. The Akatsuki hat pack.
Okay.
The Kage hat pack.
So they've been reasonably cheap, small pieces of DLC anyway.
Right, and I think there was one or two packs that were actually, big in terms of content, but also money value in comparison, like $4 or $5 instead.
Yeah.
And I think there was one DLC pack that was very big in terms of the costumes. Like, it would have the Sannin era Jiraiya Tsunade Orochimaru. It had Madara Uchiha without the Edo Tensei appearance, as if he were still alive. That type of costume pack, and that one was relatively cheap. I think it was like only $2, that DLC pack, and that had 8 costumes. I think their pricing was more inconsistent than anything, or they graded it on how much work or how much needed to be done with the costumes. Because meanwhile, there was a costume pack that was only 2-3 costumes long, and it was upwards of $5. So it's, I would say around $20 was all the costumes. So that's 38 costumes, I believe, altogether.
Okay.
So the costumes themselves aren't expensive, but it'll still probably save you if they do the full burst thing, because they're probably not going to charge it full price. It's a re-release of an older game with new content, but I don't see them charging full price. And if they charge $40, you're paying $20 for the costumes and $20 for the game. Basically.
Yeah.
In U.S. dollars, I don't know the conversions over at the UK.
I'm pretty sure over here, like re-releases tend to be, and especially with next gen coming out, they probably wouldn't release it at the standard full price as it is right now. So it'll probably go through as what we would maybe say is a budget title, probably around £30.
Okay. Yeah, that would make sense for Storm 3 Full Burst.
Yeah.
I mean, Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, when that came out, it wasn't released as a full-price title, yet it was technically the previous game plus the DLC expansion in one disc altogether.
Yeah.
And it was sold as $40 if you bought it as a disc, or $15 if you got the DLC, and you had the original version. So I can see a similar pricing structure here, maybe $15 to $20 for the DLC, and the US dollars, and like $40 for the main game, which would probably be like £30 for you. And what would it be like DLC pricing wise? Like £12?
So would you say $14?
From $40 and $15 for a DLC version.
$15 DLC.
Yeah, what would that convert to?
Trying to think. I think it's about £13 or £12 something.
Okay. So I could see Full Burst being priced around there.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was pretty much like the one pretty big story that came out of Japan Expo so far that's caught my attention. But the other one that's also caught some decent attention was the Tales of Symphonia. I believe it's the HD collection announcement, where Tales of Symphonia HD will be the first Tales of game in the series history to feature dual audio. Is that correct, Michelle?
Yep.
Cool. So the first game in the Tales of series to feature both an English and Japanese voice option. Now, Michelle, we know you have a Tales of problem. We know you've probably imported more than one Tales of game. Does the game get changed due to maybe the translation of any sort, as far as you know?
I don't think so. The only real sort of difference is in the Japanese version the skits are voiced, but in the English version they aren't. So I'm wondering if they'll like re-record them.
For Symphonia.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds interesting because if you had dual audio and you played it through in Japanese and you had those bits with audio attached to them and you tried to play it in English and it didn't, it'll just feel a little bit odd.
Yeah, that would actually kind of throw off the feel of it. If all of a sudden you're playing it in English and you find out they're not voiced in English, but you switch to the Japanese for just a little bit and then they're fully voiced. Yeah, that is a good point. I've never played Symphonia, so I fully regret missing out on Symphonia when I had the chance, but the game came out at a bad time for me.
It's alright, you got the chance now.
Yeah, now I have the opportunity. I have the opportunity to pick up Symphonia, and I believe these games are based off of the PS2 versions. Or at least the first Symphonia is based off the PS2 version. Because I believe there was a cutscene in the trailer that was exclusive to the PS2 build. So, which version of Symphonia have you played, Michelle?
GameCube version.
GameCube version. Okay, you wouldn't happen to know any of the differences offhand?
Not really.
Okay.
Plus, also there is also the sequel, which was a Wii game that's getting released on the HD version as well.
Right. Tales of Symphonia 2, I believe, Dawn of a New World?
Yep. The thing is, a lot of people really didn't like the English dub for that, so I can imagine the sort of announcement about the Japanese voice is going to be, really welcome.
This for those people would be a godsend. At that with that announcement, they pretty much just look at it and go, "Oh, I don't have to deal with the English dub on this one." Switch to Japanese.
Yes.
This game has just been made more bearable.
Because I know it's like a lot of the voice actors who were in Symphonia got replaced for the sequel, so, and apparently the new voices weren't as good.
So probably did a little bit more on the cheap or whatever.
Maybe, or it could be that they got voices who maybe weren't, you could say, invested in the role. They just got them just to replace them, I guess.
Yeah, it could also be the fact that people get so used to particular voices when someone's done that voice for that character so often, so much that suddenly a change in that can cause such a rift in the community. Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean, because Bleach made me go through the same thing in the anime dub when I believe Kenpachi's voice was done by David Lodge for so long, and it was so recognizable, and I loved Kenpachi as I love David Lodge as Kenpachi, and I loved his portrayal of the character, because it had this kind of like this sadistic side of it, but it also sounded kind of crazed as well. But he was able to rein it back enough that it didn't sound too rough. And all of a sudden, due to whatever issue that may have came of it, Kenpachi appears in an episode and he's voiced by Patrick Seitz. And yeah, I know what you mean by if you're too used to one voice playing a character.
Solid Snake.
No. Not going there.
That's another David. They just don't like Davids.
It seems that way. David Lodge, David Hayter. It certainly seems that way. They don't like Davids.
They're Davists.
Oh, man. But, yeah, for my experience off of Bleach, I know exactly what you mean in regards to, you get so accustomed to one voice that when you hear someone else do that voice, you automatically pick out, this sounds wrong.
It's, there's a similar thing with like, say, for example, like Dynasty Warriors, where they have the English audio, and they've got a much higher caliber of actors in Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8, especially. I mean, they have had these high caliber actors, but some of the some of the direction, some of the scripts has not been so good, but they've improved on that. But people don't like some of the voices because they're different to what they were in a previous game that they liked or whatever.
Well, excuse me if Yuan Shao doesn't have that same voice when he says, don't pursue Lubu. But that being said, yeah, I can see that. Because I believe Stephen, I want to say Stephen Bloom, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, if it's Bloom or Blum.
Right.
He used to voice Xiahou Yuan.
Okay.
And after, I believe, Dynasty Warrior 6, Tony Oliver voiced Xiahou Yuan. And Steve Blum also voiced Sun Jian. And after a while, Sun Jian was voiced by someone else. The name escapes me right now. And even during that, Sun Jian was voiced by Stephen Blum in DW5, voiced by someone else in DW5 XL, and voiced by someone else, voiced by that same person in Empires, which resulted in lines clashing because you would hear Blum 1 second and the new voice the other second. And then he would be voiced by someone else entirely different in 6. So, yeah, Dynasty Warriors has a lot of voice confusion at times, where this person voiced this character in this game, and then voiced this character in this game, and then it just gets caught in a loop.
I guess because there's not really a set, it's not really like a series. It doesn't continue on one after another, so you don't really have to have the same voices, and not always, the actors aren't always going to be available, especially when in previous games, not like now where they're released like every 5 minutes, but before they used to be a good time between each game title. So
right. Although the one person who has permanent job security over his voice is Terrence Stone. He will forever be Zhao Yun. He will forever be Zhao Yun's voice. They will never replace him. He has been Zhao Yun's voice since DW4, and I am confident he will stick to that role. Like, everyone else is going through role changes, role reversals, move this guy to this role, have this guy play this character. Terrence Stone just comes in, okay, you're Zhao Yun. But that bringing it back to Tales of Symphonia, for those who weren't fans of the English dub of Tales of Symphonia: Dawn of the New World, this should be pleasing to their ears in more ways than one. Now they'll have the choice to switch it to the Japanese voice, and we'll also see if the skits in the original Symphonia are affected in any way, if they are voiced in just the Japanese, or if the English version dubbed the skits in Symphonia. So it should be interesting.
Or they removed the skits in the Japanese audio in the skits and the.
Or if they take a step backwards, yes. Dual audio, but we have to make it even. So instead of increasing the English dub, we'll undercut the Japanese version.
Because it may have been, the game may have been fully re-recorded with new voices.
Right.
So, in both the Japanese and English versions. So they may have taken the stance and said, we're not going to voice skits in there at all.
It's feasible. I hope not, but it's feasible. Okay.
I've got a picture of Baba-san on my screen right now.
Oh man. Oh, Baba-san.
I miss seeing him at Expo. I was too busy on Koei.
Oh yeah. I guess the last thing we could talk about in terms of the current Japan Expo would be the Final Fantasy news that came out of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, first off, there was a little bit of news that came up before the expo that we would have to get into. It was recently announced that Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII would have a pretty unique pre-order incentive. And this pre-order incentive would be Cloud's outfit, the soldier's band, and his Buster Sword, as well as even his win animation and the victory fanfare theme from FF7 would play after you win.
And she looks awesome in that outfit.
She looks surprisingly awesome in that outfit.
I'll tell you what, getting that game, I think I'll just stick to having her in that outfit.
Well, I haven't seen many of the other DLC outfits, but
no, but I believe there's going to be a few.
Right, I believe Michelle, you've seen the DLC outfits, right? Or at least the alternate outfits for Lightning Returns.
I know that if you have saved data from the previous games, you get the outfits from those ones.
Okay.
Like you get our outfit from 13.2.
Oh, okay. That's not bad. That's a pretty nice setup for Lightning. Although I could have sworn there was one. I don't know if this was a rumor or.
There is one other DLC that was announced as well, which was the samurai outfits.
The samurai outfits for Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
See, unfortunately, I saw those pictures, and because it didn't show, her actually wearing the outfit, just showed the outfit.
Yeah, you kind of you don't even see the full outfit. You only see the kind of waist area.
Yeah, and that's really, and it was kind of like, okay. I mean, the armor looked nice for what it was, but it's just hard to, go off of that as being how the outfit's going to look.
Yeah.
I also believe that there was an outfit for Lightning that made her dress like Yuna from FF10.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out which outfit it was that they gave her.
So it's all about crossovers.
It seems it. I mean, they're touting almost 100 different costume options for Lightning. And I'm already looking at the amount of outfits that they're trying to promote for it. And I liked some of the outfits. I like how some of them look. But to me, the Cloud outfit is probably their best one.
I hope people have got their PSN wallet credit ready, because I'm sure it's going to eat away at that, with some of the DLC outfits and stuff.
Possibly. One thing I will say is, and this is going into another territory with the outfits with this, why are they in some of these outfits sexing up Lightning?
Ugh, let's not even go there.
That actually bugs me. And I know everyone who's listening to this right now is going, wait, a guy is saying this? And my first thought is, yes, because Lightning was not about that. She's not that character. It's useless fan service. It doesn't make sense. I'm looking at the Sorceress victory pose, and I'm kind of like, that's not Lightning. The world's in danger, and she's pretty much shaking her hips and displaying herself. I just threw my hands up in the air. I was like, whatever, Square. I literally just went, whatever, Square. I don't get it. Like I said, it's just one of those things where it just doesn't seem right for them to do with a character like Lightning. I mean, granted, if it happens in certain games because the character kind of calls for it, then fine. But Lightning is not a character that calls for it. I mean, to use Icy Warriors as an example, because of Zhu Rong's origins as the non-Mon, she's going to be a fan-servicey character by default. Lightning is not a fan-servicey character. I don't like some of the outfits being fan-servicey, yet some of the outfits are fan-servicey. But yeah, mini tangent. But I still love the Cloud outfit, though. I really do like how the Cloud outfit looks on Lightning.
Yeah, it's when I first saw that, and I don't know, just looks perfect. Just suits her.
Yeah, it looks.
And it suits her character from what I know of her character.
Yeah, it looks weird how well it fits her.
Well, there's the whole thing with Lightning being based off Cloud in the first place, so, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay, but they didn't have to base the model off of Cloud, too.
I can't tell if that's Cloud being feminine or Lightning being more masculine, but I would say probably it's Cloud being feminine. I think that was established early on.
Uh-oh. I think this episode, for that one phrase alone, I think this episode is gonna get a lot of hate. In this episode, Raiden calls Cloud feminine.
Well, he did cross-dress and all that. Just saying.
He did.
No one.
I saw Cloud in a dress.
See, no one remembers that because it's one of those things that's in the deep recesses of their mind, but it has happened.
Yep.
It's there, people.
was trying to get in with
where
the
he had sexy panties, for God's sake.
He did.
Oh.
What? Why would he have sexy panties? I mean, yeah. What can you say?
Oh man. I think I ran into this picture on Tumblr that had Tifa and Cloud talking back and forth, and Cloud makes a quip about how, that lingerie thing's a pain in the ass. Trust me, I know. And Tifa's response is, "I wish you didn't." I ran into that picture on Tumblr. It's just so fitting for.
well, and you know, it's not just that. The fact that he was even convincing as a woman.
I blame PS1 graphics. I totally blame PS1 graphics. I'm not buying it. They saw in that blocky pixelated form too. They saw each other in block form.
Well,
I wish they would do a 7 remake just for that mini quest alone, because it would be the most glorious thing ever.
just do that. Just do that mini quest. Oh, and Gold Saucer. I want to play in Gold Saucer again.
Gold Saucer.
I spent many an hour in there. Wasting away on that roller coaster, shooting things.
So many hours can easily be spent there.
The mod game.
Yep. And speaking of reminiscing about FF7, for those who, for some odd reason, never got a hold of FF7,
or if you don't have access to a PS1.
Right, if you don't have access to a PS1, if you don't have the PS1 version of FF7 when it released back in the day, or you do not have access to the PS1 Classics version of FF7 up on PSN, Steam has alleviated your worries. Steam has released Final Fantasy VII for all of you. So that is up on their store for, I believe, $11. So for
Yep.
Okay, cool. So for
I think it's about that.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I thought it was like I thought it would be like $9.99, but but $11 isn't bad either.
And it's the game that Square released recently, which has all the achievements and, excuse the pun, cloud saves.
I know it's cloud saving, but cloud saves. Come on.
Yeah, it's got all of those features that were released on the Square Enix version of the game, which is in a way DRM free, but a lot of people do prefer to play the games through Steam, and they like to track their achievements and stuff through Steam, so the game is available on that platform too, which I, as a fool, probably end up buying it again.
I still have my PS1 copies in their case, just sitting in a drawer.
I have my PS1 copies. I have my PSN copy. I have my PC copy. I have my new PC copy.
And you must buy it again.
I don't have the time to play it that often, but yeah, I'll do it again.
See, this is why Square won't remake FF7. You know why? Because
everyone will keep buying the same old one anyway.
Exactly. Everyone is just going to buy FF7, even if it's the exact same game we got back in 1997.
Well, okay, from the moment it was announced till even now on my Twitter feed, it's the top trend on my tailored feeds.
I'm gonna reboot my trends and see what happens. But on it was trending on my worldwide trends for a bit. I didn't see if it broke the top 10. Broke the top 5, I should say. But it did trend for a little bit on my.
See, I got my my trends are pretty much all are tailored, so they end up customizing towards the people that I follow.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's still sitting there at the very top of the list is is saying something.
Yeah. That's FF7 for you. Considered one of the greatest games of all time, and for good reason.
Yeah, I think one of the big things, especially over here in the UK and Europe, was the fact that that was the first Final Fantasy game to actually be released here.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So we had that, and then we had 8, I believe, and then pretty much when 8 was released, we then had the back catalogs then start to come out, and then 9, which was pretty much towards the end of the PS1 life cycle.
Okay. Like I said, I didn't realize that was like your first Final Fantasy.
Which is why it's probably, over here it's why it's probably got such a big impact for people, is the fact that was because there wasn't this, the thing of the internet and social media and everything like that, so you'd rely on all the information that you'll only ever get from magazines, and occasionally you'll get some talk about a game that's being released in Japan or whatever, but most of these magazines were they really only focused on what was coming into the country, so whoever was doing the reporting, whatever they got their hands on or whatever they got information from their sources. So very rarely heard much from the outside world, so it wasn't such a big thing. But when Final Fantasy VII was coming out, there was so much hype for a Final Fantasy game finally coming out over here, because there was a lot of talk, especially from places like America and also from people who had played the earlier Japanese games. As to how good the series have been and how good the storytelling has been in these games, that obviously had a big impact, and a lot of people got around to trying it. And it also features some, at the time, the best graphics and visuals and stuff.
Okay. Our history with the Final Fantasy series here in America at least dates back to the SNES.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, because I am not entirely... I think FF1 got released on the NES, I should say. And that came out in North America. The SNES got FF4, which was released as FF2, and then we would get FF6, which was released as FF3.
Yeah, because you were missing a lot, weren't you? It jumped.
Right, we skipped FF2, 3, and 5 entirely. And we got FF1, FF4, and FF6. And then we got FF7. And that prompted everyone to look and go, wait, where are the others?
Yeah.
So that was our history with Final Fantasy here.
I think, yeah, because the one that took forever to actually come about was Final Fantasy 3, wasn't it?
I believe so, yes.
Because Final Fantasy 3 never actually appeared until, was it the DS era?
Yes, when the DS was remaking them.
Yeah, I think that was the first time that the proper 3 was actually released outside of Japan.
Mm-hmm. And I believe we got the original proper FF4 in an anthology collection with Chrono Trigger on the PS1.
Yeah.
We got FF1 and 2 in an Origins collection on the PS1. So we had the original FF1 and FF2. That came together, skipped 3, got the original 4 as it was intended in the anthology collection, and we got another Chronicles collection, which was FF5 and FF6. So somehow FF3 got skipped over in favor of Chrono Trigger.
So we had... I'm trying to think. 6 was released on its own, because I got that signed by Kojima. Not Kojima. Fucking... it never got signed by Kojima. That would have been cool if it was Metal Gear.
Wow.
It was signed by Uematsu.
Yeah.
When I went to the Final Fantasy Final Symphony thing earlier this year.
And
I think it was 4 and 5 that were together, or was 5 separate as well? I think 5 may have been separate for us.
Ooh, I don't know, because for us when we got it, it was
Unless it was 5 and 6, and we got 2 versions of 6, like 2 of the same version of 6, just one in a collection and one solo.
Oh no, I found it for you. FF6 was sold by itself in Europe.
Yep.
And in America, it was FF5 and FF6 together.
As anthology.
Final Fantasy Collection, that was the name of it. Okay. Anthology was FF4 with Chrono Trigger.
Right, okay.
And FF Origins was 1 and 2. So for whatever reason, in a Final Fantasy Anthology Collection, they replaced FF3 with Chrono Trigger. I'm not complaining, I'm just saying. Because I have that collection actually in my drawer too. I have that anthology because of Chrono Trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, you have a Final Fantasy Anthology collection. There's one game that doesn't see a release until 2006, and no one saw fit to include it with FF4. Yet 1 and 2 and 5 and 6 get bundled.
Oh, Square, we love you.
Squeenix face.
Well, there was no Enix then, was there, at the time?
No, there was Squaresoft, which is a lot of the division, you could say, of the fan base as a whole. It seems like a lot of people would say they like Squaresoft, they do not like Enix.
Yeah.
Which I guess is a fair comparison. I mean,
well, especially as things did change when they did merge, so...
Mm-hmm. It became a different beast altogether. But even then, with Enix's faults, they are willing to acknowledge the places where they have misstepped. For instance, in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yes.
Final Fantasy XIV launched, it was an abysmal failure. It was considered the worst Final Fantasy game ever made. And as a whole, it bombed as an MMO for what it was. And it bombed so badly that the entire crew who made the original FF14 was let go. They apologized for the game being released, and then they worked an extra few years to make it into what is now known as FF14: A Realm Reborn. And now the game is currently in closed beta phase, and it's brilliant, I have to say.
See, I myself am loving a lot of the changes because I played Final Fantasy XIV when Final Fantasy XIV was back in, all the way back from when it was in alpha stage through to before version 1.0 got closed. I didn't play it as full time as I did on Final Fantasy 11. Final Fantasy 11, I went proper full time on that thing. But 14, I was on and off, and there was a lot I didn't like about it. I found there were things which weren't that simple to do in the game. It was very memory hungry. On my first PC, it was struggling like hell. But they lowered the specs on the new version of the game. Mm-hmm. And this is mostly to do, I believe it's mostly to do with the fact that all of the areas are zoned, whereas before you used to just walk from from one part from a town, and you can just walk all the way through to another town, like without going for a loading screen and stuff. And I guess because of that, the world, so much more of the world had to be rendered and processing it all the time. So there was just so much more memory being used, and it was so hungry and really lagged so much on my PC. I just it became unplayable for me. When I got my new PC, it wasn't that long before they closed. They decided that they were going to close the Final Fantasy XIV, so I tried to play as much as I could. And they had made some improvements during that time. which are in this new version. Some changes to quests and stuff.
Right.
But I think what they've got in this new version is just so much better. It is really fun to play, and you can, it's easy to play enough solo, as well as there's plenty to do in groups. Communication is a lot easier. The interface is a lot better to play with. So, for me, it's all round a better game.
Okay. I can agree with that. I haven't played the original FF14. I have seen gameplay of the original FF14 as to how it ran, how it functioned, and stuff like that as I was playing the beta for FF14 Realm Reborn. And to see the startling jump from what FF14 was to what it is now is, to me, it's impressive. I mean, I'm absolutely loving the beta for FF14. It's one of those things where it's become my game time. Sunday through Thursday has become filler just to play a beta. And I try to contribute even on the beta forums as well. I try to post, but the thing is either a lot of my things are already, or a lot of the things I would say are already posted, or I have nothing really bad to say.
Yeah, this is the thing. I mean, obviously, while going for a beta, the purpose of it is to be testing, is to be, if you do discover faults or you do discover things you don't like, to be posting them up. But where I think they hit a 1 million mark on the beta, which is a very high number, especially on this game as for an MMO, and they've been giving out plenty of the beta codes for both PS3 and PC, because it's the first time now that the PS3 version has been tested as well.
Right.
And I've tested both versions. I have my preference, which will be my PC, but I had the game on order for PS3, and it'd be a secondary option for me. They do have slightly different interfaces, but the controller interface is very much the same. So it's easy to just switch between the two if I wanted to. But when you're using the forums, there is the rules not to duplicate posts or always read whatever's been posted before. So if you've experienced something and you see that somewhere else, then maybe just add into that you've experienced, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But the point of the beta is to provide feedback, and it's not a demo; it's a test.
Yeah. And that's why I said I feel like with the beta, I try to contribute on the forums, but it's like, okay, either someone's already had the thing addressed, or I have nothing to contribute. Because it's a beta, but I'm loving a beta.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be loving a beta this much.
I don't know if you notice week on week when, obviously, when it closes on the Sunday, I know it's Sunday here, I don't know if it's Sunday there or Saturday evening or whatever. But when it closes, and you next go on the next week, some of those things that were in that forum have been addressed. Mm-hmm. So
I noticed that, yeah.
So they are picking up on most of these points and are addressing them as the game is being tested. So that's very good on their part, and you can see that they're very hard at work in trying to produce a game that's people are actually going to love. Because the thing they've got to try and win over is the fact that this is going to be a subscription-based game.
Yes, and that has been the hurdle I've been trying to overcome as well. Because while I love the game, the $13 a month subscription fee is going to... it's going to be rough, especially with the next gen coming, where PlayStation Plus and online subscription fees will be the norm.
It's going to be a case. It's going to be a case of is the game good enough to justify you paying that much each month? Are you going to be getting that much out of it each month? I mean, for me, I think I will. It does, it does kind of seem a lot, but I mean, I did pay subscription in the earlier phase of the game. I got given a legacy status, which gives me a period of free time while the new players are all being or non-legacy members are having to pay subscriptions
Right.
I'll be benefiting from, I think it's a month or something, or a couple of months worth of free play, and then like a few extra like little items or whatever that they'll give for, for obviously for being a member, and paying us sort of during the harder times, and then coming back in for the new phase of the game. But it's for me, it's a very enjoyable experience, and I think if anyone hasn't got a beta key, then to obviously, and when they want one, to try and apply for one, because I believe they're still giving them out.
Yes.
But it may only be this weekend and next weekend. I'm not sure if it's only 2 more weeks left of this phase, which your characters are all going to be wiped, and then it'll move on to the next phase, which I believe they're going to, whatever characters you make on phase 4 are actually going to continue into the main game if you want to use those characters.
Yeah, I believe phase 4 will be the ones that carry over, which is a shame for those of us who are participating in the closed beta that these characters may not transfer.
Which is why during this phase, I mean, I'm not trying to push doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to test as many different things, like different classes, and trying to get at least so far within missions and stuff like that, just so I can get a bit more of a feel for the game, and try more of the social functions and things like that. Because I think doing too much will probably end up feeling a waste when you return back to 0.
Yeah.
But I've all the way from the very beginning of the early stages of the game, my characters, I've got 2 characters. Even from the alpha stage, we were able to make 2 characters, and I made 2, and they've continued all the way through, and they've looked pretty much exactly the same the whole way through. I've not tried another race. I've not tried. I've tried various classes, but I've not tried other races of character, and I've not really changed their looks at all. So I stick to my elves.
I've only made 1 character in the beta, so I only have that one going for me right now. I believe he's a Hyur, if I'm pronouncing it right, Hyur.
Is that the human characters?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Human character. And yeah, he's just my one right now. I mean, I know I could make others and just have them, go out there, but I've been just focusing on him and just, like I said, I've been having fun with the beta, so I've just been having a good time using that one character.
Yeah.
But alongside with that, we also have FF14 Japan Expo news, where it was announced to continue this cross-promotion, I guess cross-advertisement of Final Fantasy XIII. FF14 will feature Lightning as an in-game NPC, as well as featuring weapons of Final Fantasy XIII as unlockable weapons for your character in the MMO, and the ability to unlock Lightning and Snow's outfits within Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn.
Snow's outfit would look cool on my elf.
Yeah, I like how Snow's outfit looks in the game. I actually didn't mind how Lightning's look so much either. I just don't understand why Lightning needs to be involved in everything.
She's the new she's Final Fantasy's Xiao Yun. It does seem that way though, doesn't it? It seems like she's now the poster girl of the series. I mean, it's always been Cloud, right?
Final Fantasy's never had a poster character.
No. But when people think when people say Final Fantasy, more often than not, the first character that comes into people's heads is usually Cloud. But
to a degree,
more and more often, it's becoming where you're pretty much being fed this is lightning is being kind of fed into into everything.
Yeah. Let's test it. Michelle.
Yeah.
When I say Final Fantasy, first character you think of?
It would have to be lightning. Just because there's so much going on in the moment. Lightning.
See, they're affecting. See, you prove
It's
Lightning's point. It's working. They're getting into her mind and saying, "You want lightning."
I mean, but before 13, I would say that for the majority of people, the character that would normally come up would be Cloud, or if you were to Google search Final Fantasy, in images you'll probably find Cloud right at the top of your of your searches and stuff.
I'm testing that now, by the way. Image search. You are correct, Rydent. You image search Final Fantasy. The first thing that came up was the Dissidia hero side, the intro of Dissidia 1, where the heroes are lined up. But the second thing that came up was the cast of Crisis Core.
Yeah, and then it's Cloud, and then it's Lightning.
It's Cloud. Oh wait, Tidus and Yuna, and then Lightning.
And then
Cloud, FF7, Cloud, Sephiroth, Cloud, Yuna,
Cloud,
Squall, Lightning.
but it has this kind of almost always the same theme. It's nearly always going to be. I think because like we were saying earlier, is the fact that because Final Fantasy VII is so talked about. Probably because it was like one of the big game changers.
Mm-hmm.
It featured. It was one of the first games to kind of go away from what you saw in 6, which tried to press on 3D when you were on top of a chocobo, but that's pretty much it.
Right.
This gave you a 3D game and had amazing backdrops and maps. The maps and stuff, which were all 3D maps and everything else, is just was amazing and such an advance in the tech for the time. So
yeah, I just had to laugh at how accurate that was. You searched Final Fantasy and Cloud was near the top.
Yeah. And
now if I ask Michelle, what's the first character you think of? It's Lightning with a rage. and now Lightning is wearing Cloud's outfit.
Yeah. I mean the very top few images on that search are Cloud and Light. If you count it in numbers, it's Cloud and Lightning. They're the most common characters here.
I make a motion that we call Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII's pre-order bonus the Cloud outfit. I make a motion that we just call Lightning Cloud and get it over with.
Yeah.
Just say there's regular Lightning, there's Cloud, and her wearing the outfit is Lightning Cloud. Just do that. And then, what's the first character you think of when you think of Final Fantasy? Lightning Cloud. It would solve a lot of problems. Oh, Square Enix. But yeah, in order to cross-promote for Lightning Returns, Lightning has been made an NPC in Final Fantasy XIV, and her FF13 related items will be available within the game, as well as costumes from FF13 that will be available within the game. I personally like I said, I like both the outfits, how they look. It's just that, as we referenced, just so much of that being shoved down our throats to a degree.
Yeah, it's the kind. I mean, you can see it's a kind of marketing. I guess they're trying to still win over people with the Final Fantasy 13 brand.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's still a lot of Final Fantasy fans to be won over by 13 as a brand, as a a franchise in it's like a franchise in itself, with all the sequels and stuff.
Right. And now they just look, oh, people like 14. Well, let's cross-promote it to get people to like 13.3.
Yeah.
Basically. I sense Michelle boiling up with rage.
I can picture her Squeenix face.
Yeah. Squeenix face is going on.
Oh, man. Oh, Squeenix.
It's just... I like 13, and I like 13.2, but 13.2's ending and the DLC was just such a mess. And now they're doing Lightning Returns, and yeah, that's kind of interesting, but, you know, I'm still more excited for 10 HD and for 15. So, you know.
Yeah. I'm actually more excited for 10 HD than I am for Lightning Returns.
I like 10 HD for the announcement. This is also, I think, before Japan Expo, but 10 HD was going to have a 30-minute animated episode made that would be brand new to the HD collection, written by the original writer of FF10 and FF7 and FF8. And that was going to be part of their HD collection. So I'm also excited to see what they're going to do with that, as well as, as we get closer to the release, Last Mission International version, how they're going to handle that. There's more excitement to me regarding that than Lightning Returns. I mean, they could have had something, but I just don't understand the route they went with Lightning Returns. I personally don't understand the route they went with Lightning as a character. It just seems so weird with this recent string of Final Fantasy. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sold on Lightning Returns. Final Fantasy X has my interest. Final Fantasy XIV's beta is selling me on the game. But Lightning Returns is just leaving me looking at it with a side glance going, meh.
It's like, I like Lightning as a character, but I really don't like the sort of direction they're going with her. Sort of, in 13 she's like a regular soldier.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was just thinking that. In 13 she's like a regular soldier, and then, whoop, goddess.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, even when she's a l'Cie, she's still sort of, she's not insanely overpowered. Then you go 13-2, and she's suddenly become, Etro's guardian, and she's able to fight Caius and all this. And then in Lightning Returns, she's suddenly, oh, I'm not sure if I'm even human anymore because I'm so super powered.
And the scary part is that Lightning Returns focuses on the fact that she's so overpowered that's the only way to undo the upcoming apocalypse. Pretty much the whole idea of you only have 13 days before the world ends, and she can turn back time.
And it's like, one of the reasons why I liked 13 was because even though, Lightning was sort of the poster woman for it, it was still sort of a cast effort. There's still, you had the little bits focused on like, Saz and Hope and Vina and everyone else. But then from 13-2 and now Lightning Returns, it's all about Lightning. It's like, Lightning is only playable in 13-2 for the prologue, basically, and the DLC Requiem for a Goddess, and she's on the cover, and
yeah,
and I just Squeenix face. I just why?
I didn't get that either. I was just talking to my brother about that, since we were having a little bit of this discussion too, and we both looked at each other like, why is Lightning on the cover when she's only playable in one chapter? And you play other characters more than Lightning. And we just looked at it like that made no sense. I mean, we understand it was kind of a marketing ploy for people to recognize Lightning and she's the brand, but it's kind of false advertising too, because you only play her for the prologue.
And, the crap DLC.
And the DLC.
Which is really bad because it's like, basically all Lightning's DLC is basically a fight with Caius. Again. And you don't have access to like a healing mode, as it were. You can't switch to like a healer. You only have potions, so basically it's just a mess.
Yeah, I really don't know. Like you said, I like the character. I like Lightning. I don't like the story, and I think that's 13 and the. I don't know if FF Versus 13, now known as FF15, counts as part of this, but that's one of the flaws of the Fabula Nova Crystallis setup that they had with FF13. It fell apart. Like you said, Lightning was a soldier. No pun intended on that one. But Lightning was just a regular soldier, and then all of a sudden she became a goddess. I don't know. It just seems like they didn't want to develop it for that long. That story, they just wanted to tell it and then be done with it. So, but here we stand with Final Fantasy being inundated with more and more Lightning cameos, appearances, and while it adds more content to the games, it's more promotion for Lightning Returns, and who knows, maybe Square Enix will see some benefit from it. I mean, they saw a ton of benefit from the Cloud DLC pre-order bonus. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. Anyone have any closing statements they want to make?
Not particularly.
No.
What's the betting we get Lightning DLC for 10 HD? Calling it now.
You heard it here first.
Exactly. If Lightning gets made as DLC for 10 and 10.2 HD, you heard it here first. But all they would have to do, and you know what? Should I even say this? Because I don't want to give Square ideas. Because all they would have to really do is take her Dissidium Duodecim model and tweak it, and she would fit in FF10. That saddens me that this is feasible.
Or you know what? Just Lightning skins for everyone. Even the male characters. Lightning, why not?
You are now imagining Barrett dressed as Lightning.
I'll work.
That'll... and with that awfully frightening image in all of viewers' minds right now, this is the part of the show where we say our farewells and begin to sign off. If you like this episode, then feel free to like the video on YouTube, follow us on Podomatic, follow us on our channels on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to drop us a comment in the YouTube's video comment section below. If you want to reach us, don't feel shy in regards to asking us anything over our Tumblr. Contact us on our Twitter or our Facebook. And with all of that, this is GAMRs Podcast signing off.
Ciao.
Bye.